Okay, so there's many ways that you can go about building your list. Some basic ways here. Let's just put an image down here on the first track, and we're going to make it like 10 seconds long here. Something like 10 seconds. So anyway, there's a lot of ways that you can build whatever box or listing or whatever it is that you want to build and how you want to display it. You can add animation to the text. You can add animation to the box or whatever. So let's start out with just the most primitive. I'm just going to give you an example of the tools, and then I think you should go from there and explore the tools and decide what it is that you're trying to build. But we're just going to start here with the basic title, which is all it is just some text. But here's the thing. If you look over in the property panels, make sure you're on text and you're on basic. You can change some things right in here. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to go into the advanced mode. And that's going to bring up this panel here in which you have the option to add your own shapes. So we're just going to go ahead and delete this text here altogether, so it's basic nothing. And we're going to take a basic shape here, and we're going to put it in, and you can see that it has just, it says text here. So we're going to go ahead and give that one just call it race results, and we will just type that information in right up here. And now, of course, we can give it some color or whatever that we want to do, or if we want to use one of the whatever effects. There's things that we can do here. But this is pretty blasé, this little box here, but it has some features. The outline here applies to the text, whatever. Background, we don't want to play around with that, and we don't want to play around with the shape. But we can go ahead and round it off, I think. We can change the opacity of, I guess this all applies to the letters. Anyway, this is one way that you can build it. It's not too exciting, but let's go ahead and show you a different way. This is the old-fashioned way. There are a lot of tools in here that you can play with. One of them would be the animation, where you could perhaps do like a typewriter mode or something simple. But let's just cancel this one out, and we'll say cancel, and let's just get rid of it altogether. And let's try something different. On your toolbar, you have all of these shortcut tools, and one of them is a drawing tool to make shapes. And if you don't see this tool on the toolbar, then go ahead and click the menu, and you will see that here is the drawing tool, and one would simply drag it up there and drop it and then click save. That is if you don't see the tool. In fact, you may not see them in the same order that I have them listed here. But basically, look for the drawing tool. And I'm not going to hit save here because I'm not changing anything. But you may already see this tool right here. And we can go in here and we can see that there is a bunch of different tools. We can actually draw stuff or whatever. But we're just going to take the basic rectangle. And we're going to go ahead and draw a shape on the screen, kind of like this. So we just draw it right there. And we're going to drop them down to this line here. And we're going to go ahead and make it the same 10 seconds long. Okay, so now we have a basic shape here. Now we can do stuff with the basic shape. And since we have an underlying video or whatever, then we're going to go ahead and change the opacity of the fill here. We're going to make it maybe like 50% so we can kind of see the background. And it might be fun to just kind of round this shape around or whatever. So we could do something to this effect. Again, you should just play with these different things. And this is how you could develop whatever look that you want. Okay, We can go ahead and put a border on here. Let's just go ahead and put a greenish border on here, and let's make it a little thicker so we can kind of see here. Here's our border around our thing, around our box, and we've kind of changed the size of our box. We can lock this the height and width scale, and with that we can then change the size and shape, or we can unlock it if we want to make it wider, but not necessarily any taller, or vice versa. We can do that. We can get into all of this keyframing later on, because you can actually, make this box grow or whatever, and then have the letters fill in, whatever. For example, just as a quick example here, let's say that this is our we want the box to grow by this time limit here to the shape that it is in now. So we'll just activate the keyframes for the transform. And let's go back to the beginning, the very first frame, and let's change the height and width to 0, just like that. And because we already had a keyframe here, when we change the size or anything in here, then it automatically applied the second keyframe. You can't quite see it, but what this is going to do is it's going to make the box grow. So you can add animation to that. So that's just sort of the basic box. We've done a little bit here, not too much. We could have a different color on the background or whatever. It's whatever you decide that you want. But whatever we're doing here to the shape, it's just the shape here. We can move it around. It has some animations, but we're not going to work with that. We're just going to use the basic keyframes. But these are shortcuts to other keyframes that you could put in. You want to spin the box in, or you want to move the box in and out, or whatever. Perhaps you'd want to do that. What the heck? Let's try it. We're going to go here and we're going to delete all keyframes. This was our shape thing here, and let's go ahead and apply maybe this goofy clockwise thing here. So we'll take that, and that gives us this kind of effect. And we can see if we expand the timeline that this effect occurs right here in the first 2 seconds, and then from then on we're going to make some text appear. But basically, we might also want to make it want to grow or whatever, and we can go back and do that in a couple of different ways. I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but no, I'm not going to get too far into the weeds. I'm just going to give you the basic overview. In fact, I don't even like this this spinning. I would rather have the getting larger. So we're just going to use Control Z to remove what we have. Actually, I could have just clicked none. And let's go, stay here at the 2-second mark, and let's go back to the shape, and let's go ahead and apply our transform, our keyframe, to that. We will go back to the beginning, where we will now change the height and width to 0. And so we're going to just make this little box grow. Okay, so this is just a shape. Okay, so the point here is you can define whatever shape you want, whatever color you want, whatever kind of detail or look you want. You can do this right here. And perhaps we will want to reverse this here in maybe the last second from the 9-second mark and out. We will go ahead and add another keyframe here, and then we will go to the end, hold down the Shift key, push end, go back 1, and then let's reduce it to 0 here. And again, now we're going to have our text up here, and then the box is going to disappear. There's other ways we can do this, but this is just the basic way. Now on top of this, let's go ahead and take our default text. We're not going to take with anything fancy because we don't need to. We're going to go in, again, we don't want the text to really start until we get to here. So let's go ahead and move it over there, and then I should shorten it up to about here. This is where our text will appear. And we're going to go into the advanced mode. And again, we have to be in the text mode here. And we click advanced. And now we're just going to go ahead and we'll keep this one. We'll call this one our, give it a title here, race results. I'm just going to paste it in here, and we're going to reduce the size of the font here so that we can get some other text in, and we'll go ahead and put that up here. And let's go ahead and give this some text. Now we could just go ahead and change the color right here, and we could use one of these colors or whatever. Or instead of that, what we can do is we can use one of these presets. Let me see. Okay, over here perhaps we could choose one of these presets, something that looks flaming hot. Okay, so that's our race results. You may or may not like this, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can choose whatever you want. You can be in here, customize. Customize here is where we can change, which is what we're working on. And we can have our race results also come up. Now, you wanted your list of 10 people. Now, certainly we could start typing them in here, but why don't we just go ahead and add another text, and we're just going to do the quick text, and that's just the one that says text here. Now it copied the what we had here before, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to just do away with that. Let's see where it was. We were in the presets, and we're going to go ahead and say none, and then we'll apply some other kind of text to that, something, I don't know, something more plain. But in any way, we're going to go here and double click on that and customize. And in customize, we're going to go ahead and type in our results. Now, I don't know if what you have on here, you probably have times or something, but you can type in whatever text you want and just, type it in here and paste it in. Now, this is rather large, so we can use the scale up here again. And now this is the box that we have lit up here. So let's go ahead and just make it smaller. So it kind of fits our little theme here. Maybe you would have more, you probably have more upright or whatever. And let's at least give them some color or something. Let's see if we can find some yellow color here. Yeah, let's use a bright yellow. We'll use that, and let's go ahead and give that an outline of black. I do like black here. Let's see. Let's choose black and then set the thickness to about 1 or 2 so it's easier to read. Again, you can play around with all of these things. You can add shadow, you can add whatever. And here we can add an animation, sort of a preset animation, mask and reveal. If you want to pay extra for these fancy ones with the pink diamonds, go ahead and do that. If you want to use the stuff that's free, then go ahead and just use these here. Now, it seemed to me that there was a, I don't know if it was build. There is a typewriter one. I think, yeah, that's not a very good one. Let me just search for the basic typewriter. Let's see. Well, what the heck? We'll use this one. Okay. And now we can see here we'll just have the race results appear. But if the further we drag this in here, the slower it will go. And that way your results will appear in kind of a slow fashion. We'll go ahead and apply that. And now when we play this, we can just go ahead and get our information pop up. So here we have it, and then we go ahead and disappear it. Okay, This is pretty good, except it's all kind of separate. Now the underlying video is the underlying video. And in order to modify this particular one would only have to go in here and type in new information in layer 2. You can see layer 1 is now our title, and layer 2 is our individual results. So once you design your particular box or whatever, then you would just, that's the box, and then once you have your race results, you would just have to go in here and change this part, and you could reuse it. But we need to kind of combine it so that it's one object, and we do that by selecting both these layers, and we can just kind of drag on top of both of them. We've selected them, and now we will right click on them, and we will do this feature right here, create compound clip, and we can call it race results, or just like that. You can actually have a space in there or whatever, that's fine. But you can see that it combined it all into one thing. And here we got our thing growing, and now we got our results coming in. Whatever you want to do, there's lots of different options. And I should let it play to the end, and then it disappears. You could have an animation on the exit as well, whatever, depending on how fancy you want to make it. But that's great for right here. The compound clip can't just be copied and reused again, because if you change something, if you have something written in the first part of your video, and then later on you have more results and you change it, it would change it in both of them. So what you can do is that you have two ways that you can make this little box reusable. One way is to add it to this editing presets, okay? And there is one section in here called compound clip. And to get your layer in here, these editing presets load every time you start a new project. And if we go like this, right click on the compound clip, we can now save as compound clip custom. And you'll notice that it will come up, it will appear up here. And there is our race results. And our race results can now be used over and over again. So in other words, we might have, I don't know, 2 or 3 races on your thing, and so you got different results down here, and you want to use it again. You don't copy this. This is a do not do this. Okay, go up in here to race results, and you can see this little plus sign. Wherever you have the playhead located, that's where it's going to drop in. So we're going to have just click the plus sign right here, and that's not what we wanted it to do. So we're going to use Control Z. We want it to appear on this second line, and we can select this line just by clicking on the header here, and then it turns this light gray. Now anything that we drop in is going to come from up here. So now we got bounced back to our media file, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this version right there. And we're going to add a second one in, and we're going to go into our editing presets. We're going to go to compound clips, and there it is, and we're just going to hit the plus sign, and that adds it in here. So now we have 2 times the race results, but obviously we want to go in and edit the names that are in this one, because this is another race or whatever. Unfortunately, they each have the same name here, so to know that you're actually correcting the right one, it's probably best, and I'm going to go back to the main timeline. You'll see that we have 3 of them here, a main timeline, and we can go, we can also just simply double click on the one that we want to edit. And that will bring it up, and that will assure us that we're in the right one. In case you have 5 or 6 of these within your video with different results or whatever, and you may not know which one is which. Anyway, we can, like I said, we can just go directly to whichever one we want to edit just by double clicking on it. It's going to get us in there, and we're going to have to double click on this one, which is where the race information is located, and we have to make sure that we're in the text size and side. You double click on that, and you make sure that you're in text, and you then select the layer and layer 2, and now you could change the names here. I'm just going to change the order of them. Cut, and we'll stick him in here like so, and we will paste, and let's just get rid of this thing here. So now we have, and we'll say, we will go up here to number 1, and we'll say race 2 results. Okay, so we can differentiate it a little bit, and we will go ahead and say okay. So now actually there's no saying okay. You simply go back to the main timeline, and now we have our 2 results. And let's just move them closer to each other so we can watch the 2 play. So anyway, it grows, it generates the race results. I assume you might have times or something up here, or whatever information you want, you can type that in. So this is a basic thing that you could do to get started. If this gives you some ideas or questions, just go ahead and post them, and I'll try to answer them for you.